All right, activist. Medical conditions such as cancer and birth defects have been linked to pollutants in water. Okay, background information, they're just saying that these cancers and birth defects have been linked to these pollutants. Organic pollutants such as Ds and inorganic pollutants such as mercury are ingested by fish and move up the food chain to people where they accumulate in tissue. Okay, so they're saying that fish eat these or ingest these pollutants and then people eventually eat them. And then they accumulate in tissue, I guess. Since most, we have two of my favorite words here. So since more than 50% of cancers and birth defects are incurable, we need to aim at their prevention. Clearly, the only effective way to reduce significantly their overall incidence is to halt industries known to produce these pollutants. Given that such industries are unlikely to comply adequately with strict environmental regulations. So our main conclusion here is actually the only effective way to reduce significantly. And so I think some people sometimes pick that the main conclusion is we need to aim at their prevention, but we come to the conclusion that we need to aim at their prevention to then support the way that we should go about preventing it. So the activist wants us to walk away and persuade us that this is what we need to do. And they're saying that the only way to significantly or to reduce significantly their overall incidence, so cancer and birth defects, is to halt industries known to produce these pollutants because they're unlikely to do it otherwise. My big flaw was, how do we know that these medical conditions, just because they've been linked to pollutants in water, how do we know that they're that's the number one cause of cancer, or that if we would even halt all these industries that there would be it? How is that the only way that we can prevent it? And so A says, fails to consider the possibility that a significant number of occurrences of cancer and birth defects may be caused by preventable factors other than, yes, we fail to consider this, right? We don't consider that there could be a significant number of cancer and defects caused by preventable factors other than the industry pollutants. That was actually my prediction. B says, does not consider the possibility that pollutants can cause harm to, we don't care, unfortunately in this argument, we do not care about non-human species. So that's wrong. C says, takes for granted that certain effects can be produced independently by several different causes. Certain effects, takes for granted that certain effects can be produced independently by several different causes. So I like this one because I'm going to tell you, okay, I like this one because it's saying that we don't think about the fact that certain effects, so maybe cancer and birth effects, can be produced independently by several different causes. The reason that this one is wrong is when it brings in this word independently, it's saying that something can cause birth defects, is that what it's called? And something else can cause cancer. Our issue is not that we group these together and what's causing them. So that's why C is wrong. D says, fails to consider whether industries may voluntarily decrease their output of pollutants. I think we do. Once again, whenever we have a premise, we just have to accept it as true. So we're saying that it's unlikely that they will do it. So even if they do voluntarily decrease their output, is the only way to reduce significantly is to stop them altogether. Even if they willingly do it, I don't think that we can guarantee that that's the best way to prevent cancer. And then E says, fails to consider the possibility that chemicals now classified as pollutants have some beneficial effects not yet discovered. Yeah, technically we don't consider that possibility, but that we don't care about these good things it can do. We're just talking about preventing cancer. And so that's why A is going to be a correct answer. Does anybody have any questions on this one? This one was a little bit even harder yet.
I think your pre-phrase was spot on. So when you said it, it made a lot more sense to me. And so A seemed much, much, much stronger than C, because I was contemplating that too.
Oh yeah.
So that was like super helpful because I just
Yeah,
learned
I actually
that.
see what's tricky. I had to think I didn't do this question beforehand. Because sometimes if I do them beforehand, you don't get to hear my thought process. I've been told you don't hear my thought process and it's not as helpful. But this one stumped me for a second until I realized that they're talking about how do we know that it's the pollutants causing both of these things, and that's not the issue
Yeah.
independently. So I think what made that one strong is independently. Awesome. Was this helpful?